Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Wednesday, 21st of September 2022. Now we are firmly into the international break now. No game Saturday for Millwall, but doesn't mean the news has ended. There is some interesting stuff coming out. But before we get to that, let's start with this. This is from millfc.co.uk. Millwall's Mitchell, that's Alex Mitchell, earns loan praise. So Millwall loanee Alex Mitchell has got everything you would look for in a young central defender, according to St Johnstone teammate Ryan Gowan. The defender was praised following St Johnstone's 0-0 draw with Ross County in the Cinch Premiership, reports the Courier. He can pass the ball and make good decisions as well, McGowan added. He's aggressive when we don't have the ball and comfortable on it when we do. He's got everything you would look for in a young centre-back. And then they go on about the rest of the They postponed the loan watch. Now, the reason why they postponed that to Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, there was FA Cup replay. So they didn't do it on Monday or Tuesday. They waited for Wednesday morning to do it. So I've already told you about this stuff. The only thing is the new stuff, the results from those FA Cup replays involving Ryan Sanford and Joe Wright. Ryan Sanford, I told you about that. They were 3-1 winners. That wasn't a replay. But Joe Wright has gone through to the next round of the FA Cup. They were 2-0 up at home. Then it come back to 2-2. So they had to go to a place called Hartley Whitney. No idea where they are. But they actually won that 1-0 after extra time. Yesterday or Tuesday. So what we had, the draw was made yesterday as well. So now a bit of local action for these Millwall goalkeepers out on loan. Weymouth, where Ryan Sanford is, will play Welling United for a place in the fourth qualifying round, and that is when the big guns from the conference come in. So what they would hope is that they win that game, get into the next round. Now hopefully they will avoid the conference teams, because then if they do that, they have a chance in the first round of meeting a team from League One and below, which would be interesting. And Joe Wright's Bath City will host Sevenoaks Town. So there you go. Nice local games involving local sides for them. Now, the upcoming fixtures for the 4 players out on loan so far. This is what's happening this week. Remember, there's no Millwall game this weekend, so if any of these take your fancy, here they are. Obviously, no game for Alex Mitchell, because the Scottish Premiership is also out the international break. But Ryan Sanford, Weymouth versus Dover. Joe Wright, Oxford City versus Bath City. And Kamal Grant, Dagenham Redbridge versus Barnet. So there you go. Those are the games involving Millwall loanees this international break. If you are so inclined to do so, please visit them. Now we get onto this, which is interesting. In the last month or so, we've heard about an EGM from Millwall Holdings, which is the company that owns Millwall Football Club. Shares in it. They unlisted from the stock market, from the AIM into a private limited company, but they still have a lot of shareholders, so they're trying to whittle that down. And according to the rules in the Companies Act or whatever, some kind of rules of association of the company, they are allowed to say that any people who own less than 1,000 shares, they're going to take your shares off you and just make you an ex-shareholder. And the reason why they're doing this, because they say there's too many shareholders, like 8,000, and once they make the changes, there's only going to be 28 shareholders. So that's been going on behind the scenes. The meeting, or the EGM, was supposed to take place on Monday the 19th of September, which of course was the date of Her Majesty's funeral. They've pushed it back. and more on that later. But in other business news behind the scenes, this was announced today. Millwall FC.UK. Matthew Sidman joins Millwall as non-executive director. The board of Millwall Football Club is pleased to announce the appointment of Matthew Sidman as a new non-executive director. The Boston-based American has extensive experience in finance and real estate and will contribute alongside John Berylson and all other directors in working towards short, medium and long-term objectives as part of the club's overarching strategic vision. The chairman said, Matthew is someone well known to and respected by my family and I'm delighted that he has agreed to join the club in this capacity. He is incredibly enthusiastic about his new involvement with Millwall and will further enhance the board's collective knowledge and expertise across a wide range of matters and initiatives. Each season we try to make progress on and off the pitch, and Matthew's appointment to the board is testament to that, given the benefits his directorship will have for the club in the weeks, months and years ahead. So, I kind of speculated, it was also mentioned in the notes for the EGM that the reason why they were making the changes that they were making to the shareholders is that it was very hard for them to attract investment because of how complicated the shareholding situation for such a small company was. So they wanted to simplify it. Is this guy lining up to be an investor? Now, he's a non-executive director, which basically means he's just an advisor, really. He can't really have a vote on anything, I don't think. Or maybe he can, but I'm not sure how it all works. But, or maybe he's just doing it as a favour. I don't know what's happening. Maybe they're going to pay for him to travel out to London every now and then and get involved in board meetings and go to games. And he's doing that as a favour because he's got business in London, so well, why not? I don't know what's happening, but who is this guy and what's happening? So, here we go. Matthew Keith Sidman. This is from the company's house website on gov.uk. You can search for people's names to see if they are directors of companies and companies themselves. So Matthew Keith Sidman, he's got two appointments. He's been appointed to the board of Millwall Holdings Limited and the Millwall Football and Athletic Company 1985 Limited. He was appointed on the 2nd of September 2022. That was 3 weeks ago. And they've only just announced it now. Why? Maybe it's not that important, I guess, I don't know. And it's International Week, so they've got to put stories up, and might as well put it up now. I guess maybe that's the reason why, but he's been a director for 3 weeks. Maybe they were hoping to announce it at the meeting. Obviously, the EGM happened on Monday the 19th. Now, maybe he was appointed, but it had to be approved in a vote. I don't know how it works. Maybe they can appoint him, but the shareholders have to vote on it. So, more on that later. So, he's already been there, a director, for 3 weeks. Who is he? This is from Reuters.com. This is an article from 2012, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. October 25th, 2012. A top portfolio manager at Highfields Capital plans to leave the investment firm next year to set up his own hedge fund. Two people familiar with the matter said. Matthew Sidman, who has worked at a Boston-based fund for 15 years, plans to leave in 2013 and launch his own firm. Highfields told investors earlier this month, according to the people who are not authorized to discuss the matter publicly because the fund is private. Highfields which oversees $11.6 billion, is one of the 2 trillion hedge fund industry's biggest and most closely watched firms with top-tier clients, including Harvard University. The firm, run by Jonathan Jacobson, specializes in making long-term bets on undervalued securities. While it prefers to stay out of the limelight, it made headlines when it became one of the small handful of investors to publicly question Enron's accounting practices long before the energy giant collapsed. News of Sidman's departure comes on the heels of news that another top manager at another prominent Boston hedge fund is also leaving to set up his own firm. Blah 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 blah. In Boston's close-knit investment community, Sidman and Wagner travel in similar circles. They are both listed as committee chairs for the star-studded Boston Investment Conference, where both of their bosses, Jacobson and Klarman, are scheduled to speak next month. The two men are also part of a growing number of fund managers who have trained at established hedge funds and are now taking the leap to set up on their own, making for a new crop of funds that big-name investors like pension funds could allocate money to as they look to increase their exposure to alternative assets like hedge funds. But industry consultants and investors say that it's becoming ever tougher to raise fresh capital, as investors like pension funds tend to prefer putting money with more established firms with more assets under management and longer track records. Indeed. So this guy was at Highfields for 15 years as a hedge fund manager, portfolio manager. 15 years he worked there. So what, from 1998? Interesting. Okay. So he went off and he set up this firm here, Freebase Capital. Inactive. It no longer exists. It was. So founded in 2013, Freebase Capital was a hedge fund manager based in Boston, Massachusetts. The firm followed a value investing strategy. Year founded 2013, investor status out of business, and it seems to have sold out of its investment. It didn't go bust. It was managing capital for some investors and sold out of its positions because it's getting harder to do what they do, especially when you're a startup. So it was going for like 6 years before it ended. Not a bad little run, 6 years. But value investing strategy, that's what they did. Now, what is that? What is that? So value investing is you look through a load of stocks and you see the prices, and then you look at the company and you think, this stock should be worth more than that. Why is it so low? Like, what's happening here? Like, we should buy into this because this stock price should be higher than it is. That's what you do, and apparently that's what Warren Buffett and people like that did. But the thing with Warren Buffett is he has become a phenomenon himself. So he can make a stock just by buying. Because if he invests in a stock, everyone else sits up like, what's this wise old goat doing? What's he fucking doing? Why is he buying Xerox? Why is he buying AMC? AMC's in the fucking gutter. Why is he buying them? And then everyone else sits up, takes notice, and just follows blindly what he does, which may be the way to go now. But so here it says value stocks. This is from Wikipedia. Value stocks do not always beat growth stocks, as demonstrated in the late 1990s. And moreover, when value stocks perform well, it may not mean that the market is inefficient, though it may simply mean that value stocks are simply riskier and thus require greater returns. Furthermore, country-specific factors have a strong influence on measures of value, such as the book-to-market ratio. This leads them to conclude that the reasons why value stocks outperform are country-specific. An issue with buying shares in a bear market is that despite being undervalued at one time, prices can still drop along with the market. So you can buy an undervalued stock, but if the whole market tanks, like your stock doesn't tank that much, oh well, that's great, but it's still tanked. Whereas what they say here, growth stocks, the thing with a growth stock is everyone's looking around, what's the next big thing? What's gonna pop off? What's popping? Electric vehicles, food delivery business. I mean, I remember back in the day, many years ago, there was this company that I worked with, involved with Deliveroo. I was looking at them and the way they operate, and I thought, this is fucking insane what they're doing with this technology. This is going to pop off. And I looked around, can I buy into them? Are they listed on the AIM? No, because that's not how these companies' growth stocks work anymore. What Deliveroo did, they went into the venture capitalist market, went to a kind of conference for them, got a load of venture capitalists to pump money into it, used that to boost themselves up, and then they went with an IPO, initial public offering, and cashed in. And that's the growth has already happened. They're just cashing in now, but they try and convince a load of people there's more growth to be had. So everyone buys the IPO and the stock price can go up. A lot of IPOs now, when they drop, they just kind of fall instantly because people are just cashing in. All the people who built up the company, they want it to grow as quickly as possible using venture capital money, and then they cash in with the stocks. They cash the stocks in, not all of them. They keep some. They walk off into the sunset, rich as fuck, and just leave it to men in suits to run the company. Yeah, they're off and running. So, hedge fund manager is not really what it was. It's kind of with the venture capital people now, because if you're a hedge fund manager, you're waiting for the stock to get listed. You're waiting for the company to get listed, and by then it's too late. Whereas with the venture capital people, they're getting in before all that stuff. They're jumping the gun. So that's who they are. They are who Freebase Capital were. This guy Matthew Sidman is. He was 15 years at a massive hedge fund portfolio management company, Highfields. He left to set up his own one, Freebase Capital, which ran for about 6 years. And we're going to move on to this story now from Bloomberg. And so here we go. This is it. Hedge fund Freebase to close after poor performance. And this is dated October 31st, 2018. So, value investing hedge fund, Freebase Capital, I've already just told you what value investing is planning to return money to investors according to people with knowledge of the matter. The company, which was started in 2013 by former Highfields Capital Management money manager Matthew Sidman, will return capital to investors on December the 1st, said one of the people who asked not to be identified because the matter is private. The firm, which at its peak managed about $1.6 million has already liquidated the majority of its holdings, said the person. Sidman is the latest practitioner of value investing to throw in the towel after years of struggling to make money with that strategy, which was pioneered by Benjamin Graham and Warren Buffett. On October the 25th, Benjamin reported that SPO Partners and Co., a $5 million firm, is planning to close after more than 5 decades of managing money. So it's not that he's a failure, it's that market, he was doing it for 6 years. There's a company that was doing it for 50 years. They've decided to quit. Because doing this kind of thing, it's getting harder and harder. It's like football scouting. Finding a really good player that no one's heard of is impossible because of all the information that exists now. We're in a data economy. Football Manager, databases, Y Scout, all that stuff. Everyone knows everyone. Like you're not gonna find the uncut gem. Like everyone knows where they are, and that's why a lot of the big clubs like Man City and that, they come and nick our youngsters. They know where they are. They come and get them. So performance at Freebase, which is now overseas less than $1 billion US, has been flat for the last 3 years and fell about 4% this year through September, said one of the people who are representative. The firm declined to comment. So they did lose money, but they lost 4%. So not a lot, but 4% of $1 billion, that's a lot of money. Like I said, this value investing strategy, it's not the way to go anymore, it seems. I think maybe the way to go now is a lot of small people, how they're making money is they follow Nancy Pelosi. Because would you believe it? How incredibly lucky this woman is. She invests in the stock market, and the stocks that she buys them at the right time. Amazingly, incredibly lucky, and they explode in value. It's incredible. If you don't know Nancy Pelosi, she's the Speaker of the House, House of Congress, House of Senate, what the fuck it's called. But politician in America, one of the biggest politicians in America, and a lot of the Senate as well. They buy shares, and amazingly, they all do very well in the market, and we know they have to disclose the shares that they own and stuff. So that's how we know, and that's how we know how utterly amazingly good they are at investing, which is incredible. I mean, who knew that politicians were such good investors? Maybe they should start their own investment companies, hedge fund managers themselves. Nancy Pelosi's hedge fund management. Incredible stuff, yeah. But value investing, it seems, is not the way to go. So Matthew Sidman, his company Freebase, closed out. It seems they did lose a bit of money, 4%, but 4% of $1 billion. Oh, that's a lot, isn't it? That is a lot. Is that 400 million? So there you go. Back to Matthew Sidman is, and still the reason why is why the fuck is he at Millwall? Now, moving on to Millwall Holdings plc.co.uk. This is the notice that they put up on their website. Funeral of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, adjournment of general meeting. As you all know, it's been confirmed that the state funeral of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II will take place on Monday, the 19th of September 2022. As we join the nation in paying our respects and commemorating Her Majesty's reign, it would not be appropriate for the general meeting of Millwall Holdings Limited, which has been called for this date, to continue. Your board has therefore unanimously resolved that the general meeting should be adjourned. The adjourned meeting will take place at the Den, Zampa Road, London, SE16 3LN, on Friday the 7th of October 2022 at 2 p.m. By way of update and for information, sufficient proxy votes in favour of the resolutions to be proposed at the meeting have been received to ensure that the resolutions will be passed. In the meantime, our thoughts remain with the family of Majesty during this difficult time. So obviously, because the original meeting was on the 19th, people had forms that they had to fill in to vote for the motions, and they voted, and the motions are passed. It seems, I don't know when this is actionable, or I guess it's already happened. I don't know if you can wait till a meeting or when they're going to do it, but if you have less than 1,000 shares in Millwall, you are no longer a shareholder, it seems. The votes, it's already happened, so maybe they'll wait till the 7th to action it, I don't know, but we will see. But it says enough votes have come in for it to pass, so done and dusted it seems. So there you go, a bit of the backroom stuff going on behind the scenes. Interesting stuff. Will be interesting to see what happens and what this means. On that note, thank you for watching and